What up, everyone? This is episode number 6. I'm George,
Paul,
Joaquin,
Jesse.
and we're right back at you with another update on all the various things that we've been experiencing here in the United States and throughout the world, I suppose, right? And a lot has happened. Kind of exciting, some of it's kind of bullshit, some of it's kind of fun. But let's start with the recap, shall we?
Yes.
It's all relevant.
So, the big news, big box office news. No Way Home Spiderman,
Killing it, right?
killing it. Yeah. It's supposed to be in the top 7 biggest debuts for a movie. I think domestic box office.
I mean, Spider-Man definitely, Marvel has a lot of bangers, but Spider-Man is like the banger of the bangers.
It's the OG banger.
Yeah, the OG banger. Yeah.
No spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers. We're
Yeah,
not
no
gonna
spoilers.
mess
Yeah,
with
yeah.
this.
Venom doesn't stay married to Doc Ock for that long, so
Those movies with Tobey
Otto-
Maguire came out in our childhood, so definitely
Yeah.
have a special place in our hearts.
Well,
For sure.
it's funny. I think it like everyone's age is revealed like based on like
Which
what
Spider-Man they
what
like.
rendition, and it goes for all of the series that go through like the reboots, right? Like I don't know, it just kind of is telling. And yeah, we were here for all of it. We were here for all of it. It was all pretty cool. I like Tobey Maguire a lot. And who was the one that was after?
Honestly, for me, Toby is like, you can't get better than him for being Spider-Man.
It's the
and
pinnacle
Peter
of
Parker
Spider-Man.
character.
Mhm.
Like, it's really hard to beat him.
Except man, like when you got the symbiote suit, like some of those.
No,
some of
that
those-
Well, movie wasn't
some
that
of those
good.
little
Spider-Man
segments are
3 is
cheesy.
what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah,
Spider-Man
yeah.
3 was the,
But, like,
the lesser of them.
That's not his fault. He
Yeah,
didn't
no.
write it.
Yeah, exactly. He just
Yeah.
acted out whatever they put on the paper.
Yeah.
I guess, right? Yeah.
Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi.
He had those two were really good. They were
Yeah.
like dynamite. Like the first one ushered in superhero movies, really.
In the modern age, yeah.
in
I
the
mean,
modern age,
Batman
sure,
gets
yeah.
credit for in the 90s
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
starting that, but yeah.
There's Batman, but like superhero movies weren't a success until Spider-Man.
No,
1.
yeah. Spider-Man really put it on
Did-
the map, and
Yeah.
you have the OG,
Yeah.
Alfred Molina as Doc Ock, and
Alfred Molina as Doc Ock.
Willem,
Yeah. Dope.
Willem Dafoe as the Goblin.
Oh
was
my
just-
god,
yeah.
such
So-
a god.
So good.
Yeah.
He's the first. I mean, we talked about this before, me and Jesse, but like he's the first like crazy superhero guy, like to like really go like lean
He
into
was-
that crazy
Yeah.
side, you know?
Heath Ledger with the Joker kind of took that to the
To the
next
next level,
Like,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
Willem Dafoe
definitely.
was the OG in that.
Well,
Well,
in
you don't
that
think
case.
Jack Nicholson did a good job in?
He was a
in
good
the
job,
original
but it was like
He's good.
it was like a more sophisticated.
catchy,
it wasn't like
yeah.
such a no holds barred insanity. I guess.
I agree with
Right.
that. Yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
okay.
Like he fell in the vat, like he was kind of like a little crazy, but he wasn't like crazy like the fucking Goblin talking to himself. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and there was a little
Yeah.
bit more in that iteration of the Joker. You could tell Jack Nicholson was having fun with that character. So there's a little bit more of a comical side, even though it's twisted and demented. There's still a little bit of a, I don't see that as much in Heath Ledger's interpretation of Joker. Yeah, there's a little bit more of a lighter side, or not lighter side, but a funnier side to Jack Nicholson's.
We were talking about Sam Raimi. So he directed all the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man?
All
the three of them, yeah.
the three.
Didn't he also direct the Hulk, the first Hulk?
The first Hulk, yes.
I
The
thought
first
that one was weird, man.
It was-
That
it was really a weird movie.
Like it was like
to be
his
honest,
his long lost dad was like the electricity guy, and
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
It was just weird.
No, back
I
to,
don't know something
I
about
don't
it.
know.
Just anyways.
It's back
yeah,
to
just fine.
Spider-Man because like that movie sucks really bad.
Better Marvel movies.
But like, so for the I'm not gonna say anything about this new one. It is my favorite of the new 3, and it's probably my second favorite of all the Spider-Mans.
Right. Well, it's the highest rated on
Yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes right
Nice.
now out of all the Spider-Man
Yeah.
movies, and it's a great movie.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Marvel fan, but it was a joy to watch in the theater.
mean,
It was
I-
nice to have that be the experience to come back to the theaters, because it's been since I think 2019 since I was at the theaters,
Yeah.
and
yeah,
It's
it's
been
an
a
awesome
minute.
experience.
I'm
so-
just gonna have to I'm gonna have to watch it again because like I'm so biased towards Spider-Man. Like in general, he's my favorite superhero.
Mhm. Yeah, he's
Like
the
I've
best.
always liked it. Like so, it's like I have to be like, okay, I have to see it again because I don't know if I'm just overhyping it myself just because I'm so biased
Sure.
towards it. You
Okay,
know?
I gotta check that out.
So yeah, you guys gotta go see this, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot. I like we always say. I'm always like super behind on even the stuff I like. I just
You never saw the Venoms?
I just saw the first one.
Was it good?
Yeah, I mean it was entertaining. This is the thing is that I think if you watch it with an objective lens, like free from expectation of like hoping that the movie pans out in any way sort of similar to like what the comic books have created.
Mhm.
You know, I think that you can find a lot of entertaining moments in it and whatnot. And like, but you know, I have a lot of family members in my life that are just very, very invested in the Marvel universe, especially Spider-Man. Like yeah, for all of us. And so like, you know, they infuse those that their understanding of the history and like the characters and who they are throughout these, you know, decades of like comic stories, right? And this and that. And they kind of impose that on like a feature film. You know, for me, it's like
Yeah.
you're just setting yourself up to like be pissed about it. And
Yeah,
and I get it. I'm not saying that like
I
they're-
agree with you 100%.
I'm not saying they're wrong, but it's like, but you can also enjoy this too.
Yeah, because you gotta like also look at it through the lens where, well, this was created probably for kids first.
Yeah, or
You know
for
what I
people who
mean?
don't
For
know,
people- yeah.
who don't know anything about the universe and
Wider audiences.
yeah, definitely. So
Yeah.
you know they're trying to make money and whatnot. So
Yep. Capitalism.
yeah.
So speaking of universe building, there was also the latest preview for the book of Boba Fett, which is going to be
Nice.
coming out the 29th on Disney Plus.
So is Ahsoka coming out soon after, or
Yeah, I think so. And then Obi-Wan Kenobi's right behind it. This is all next year, I think. But
Sounds
that's
promising.
Boba Fett comes out this year.
I really would like to see what becomes of it. I'm excited because I thoroughly enjoyed Mandalorian.
Mm.
Everything about it was amazing. And ultimately
Baby
enjoyed.
Grogs?
Yeah, young Grogs. I mean, and this is the thing again, because again, my the same family members that have, you know, these very critical lens towards like Marvel and Spider-Man. It's the same for Star Wars. And like I'm usually the only one. I'm like the oddball out.
who likes it?
Yeah, because I'm
Yeah, I
like,
know
yeah,
what
that's
you
cool.
mean.
And they're like,
Yeah.
what? It sucked. You know, this guy isn't supposed to make jokes. That guy shouldn't be. You know, that shouldn't happen. And I get it because like like you know, I've also heard some criticisms from my family members about some of like, let's say the writing of Mandalorian, and they thought some like some particulars were like, you know, written in like in a lazy way, sort of like that, where they could have added more you know, spent more time developing the story or whatever led to
It's
that.
all very it's taken too seriously. I
Yeah,
mean, look,
yeah,
George
yeah.
Lucas gave us kissing siblings with the original Star Wars because he
Yeah.
was so flying by the seat of his pants that he didn't have that part of the story written, so that you have these two characters literally kiss in the first two movies, and then the third movie they're brother and sister. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah, no, that makes sense.
you know,
That makes-
and, you know, it's too serious. You know, sometimes it's just nice to, especially with these movies, just to kind of sit back and let it drip
It's
into your
not
eyes.
really. It's Star Wars. It's Marvel. They're not really literally on the level of, you know, like higher level.
Well, I don't think they're-
literally.
Yeah,
Nice.
but
They can be.
So-
I
they
mean,
can be.
but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like that Rogue One is like really good. Like,
a good
to me,
one.
Dude, yeah,
That's my
such a
favorite.
banger
So
in the
good.
universe. Yeah. It definitely is up there for me. Yeah, with I don't know what my favorite would be. I don't know. Maybe Empire Strikes Back.
Empire's my
Empire
favorite.
Strikes Back.
Yeah,
for sure.
you
Hard to
know,
beat that one.
although also Return of the Jedi's kind of grown on me too.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, Rogue One. Yeah, love that. I love that, and I love how it connects everything and whatnot. But yeah, so it's exciting to see what they'll do with Boba Fett. You know, it's he's OG character within the universe. But funny enough, I he didn't really get that big of a spotlight in like the original trilogy. For me, where I really started to love him was in do you remember the N64 game Shadows of the Empire?
Yes.
Did you ever play that? Yeah. You're playing as Dash Rendar, who I feel like, I don't think this was just me, but like everyone thought like it was like, who's this, Han Solo? And it's like, nope, it's Dash Rendar, and who's another bounty hunter, pretty much of sorts, I believe. And but anyway, he comes across Boba Fett in the game, and you have to like mess him up and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. He's always been a character that like people love, even though like he kind of is kind of a cheesy. I feel like he came out way more cheesy than he needed to be in the trilogy. You know, kind of how, you know, his end and this and that, and yeah, without giving anything away. Like it's you know, one of those things. Yeah, okay, yeah. In my you know, in my mind, sure, it could have been this grand thing, but I'm also not the one writing the shit. So I just gotta shut up and make peace and find enjoyment, and that'll help me in all areas of my life.
Do you
know what I
think they'll come out with any Disney NFTs on VV for it?
I'm surprised they haven't yet. I mean, maybe they're trying to figure out. how to maximize profits the most, or how to make it truly like a
I mean, because
like
they
a
released
non-fungible
some,
thing.
they released some Disney NFTs on there, and the highest one I think is worth like 8.5 to 10,500, like something like that.
That's
Up
intense.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it goes quick. I mean, hey, you know, if Melania can do it right, and
Yeah.
and the
God, I
Island
love
Boys making
Everybody's doing it.
NFTs,
Oh my
making
God.
nice money. I think, yeah. You guys can pay me money for that if you want to use that, Island Boys. All right,
It's copyright. No.
Yeah. But yeah, everyone's investing in it, and in a way, it's like it's hard to tell. Like, are they really in it because they believe in sort of like the value that an NFT brings to like our framework of like currency and whatnot, or are they just doing it because it's like a hot commodity?
I think they're hopping on
think-
the bandwagon.
yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
hot commodity. I'm a
If
hot
the
commodity.
fact that Melania Trump and the Island Boys are doing it doesn't give you the answer to that, I don't know what will.
The writings on the wall. Yeah, no, for sure. I ran into that. Yeah, well, hey, you know, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. You know, we're here giving people space to grow and learn. You know, you gotta be able to mess shit up and take a different stance than you did before. But
So
no,
what
you're
about
right.
the-
They're in it for the grift.
Speaking of crypto, there was a dip yesterday and still is kind of today for
Yeah.
the big one, Bitcoin, and a few others like Cardano. Yeah, it's actually at its lowest point since the summer, which was the lowest point of 2021 for a lot of
the thing
coins.
about Cardano, DEXs are coming out soon, so it should boost it a little bit. But I don't know what's up with Bitcoin, dude.
Oh, well, really quick to the Cardano and sort of what's in the future for them. Aren't they also? I think they're trying to establish a relationship with Ethiopia. Like,
Yes, they
trying
are.
to establish like use their the blockchain technology that's involved with Cardano to have, I don't know, implement something with like the school system, like college systems. I think
Yes.
right in Ethiopia, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, so. But still surprising to see that, I don't know, that hasn't had any influence in terms of like the the current value of it. But
Crypto and definanced money in general has the power to basically cut banks out of,
Yeah.
and middlemen out of the equation. So-
which is why for me it's like when people say like stuff like crypto's fake and this, then why do you see banks like now diversify their portfolio to include some of the biggest cryptos, usually Bitcoin and like some Ethereum, but like Bitcoin really a big
Widely
one, right?
accepted.
It helps.
Yeah.
It helps legitimize it. I mean, the
Yeah.
whole thing, it will be transactions. I mean, once it becomes transactional, it will be taken more seriously as a
Yeah,
financial
yeah.
thing. Because when there's
Definitely.
no transactions, it's not a currency.
Exactly. It's
It's
just
just
like a
stock.
storage of pretty much
know.
a storage of.
So I think that's going to be the big thing. And then there's the age demographic there. You know, a lot of older people are not going to be using it. It's going to be a newer thing. So
Yeah.
it's going to take more time. And I think that's what both sides of that argument are. Either this is never going to take off, or this is the biggest thing now. And it's like somewhere in the middle. This is going to be the next thing.
Yeah,
and it's going to be a long investment. I don't
It
think
is
it's
a
going to be
little
overnight.
complicated to get into. It needs to be
Yeah.
more streamlined and made more straightforward.
For sure.
I mean, they say that, but like elderly people, they said they would never use smartphones. They use smartphones now.
Yeah.
Like eventually, I think it'll just
Right.
become
but
part of it.
It'll become
Yeah.
part of it, but
Yeah.
like when we're
Yeah.
that demographic,
Yeah.
when we're the old
Sure.
people,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we'll be
But also-
doing it.
But I guess to Kramer's point too is that I think like in terms of all the collective money, like collective market cap through all cryptos, it's like in the trillions, right?
Sure.
Right. So
Oh yeah.
I mean, to
That
me,
is
that
a-
also speaks that it's
Yeah.
also here for sure. I mean, it's
Right.
also not that early into the its formation. I mean,
Yeah.
It's
It's
sure,
still
right?
young.
It's
still
still
very
young, but
Yeah.
it's
Look at
it's
Snoop
got
Dogg.
feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Snoop, when he revealed that he was that Twitter profile, in
The
charge of
whale?
that Twitter, the
He's heavy
Twitter
into it.
profile, profile whale, yeah. So, I think, I mean, it has legs, and we'll see, what become of the legs if they decide to, just do
I
something.
think
more
our
with it.
government should just pick a crypto, adopt it, pick one with good technology.
But then that becomes part of the like the fiat currency.
Yeah, I know.
Machine.
Yeah, but
It's got to be more
better
regulated
it.
first. Before they adopt it, it'll have to go through a regulatory process because they're not going to.
They talked
something
about that.
doesn't-
They
yeah.
actually talked about what I mean. I think it was the SEC talked
Yes.
about their the steps that
Yeah.
they want to take towards. So, and I thought it was very fair actually. Like they're not just like outrightly just outrageously taxing you right away, like which they could do, right? because it's whether it's well within
It's
the rights.
transactional, yeah.
So if they're not going to do that, I feel like it's cool that they're trying to play ball with people.
Yeah.
Trying to play ball, get people involved, from all different backgrounds. I mean, ultimately that'd be the source of mass adoption, right? But it's just with all the advancements in technology since we've been alive, right? It's like it's really exponential just how quickly all this stuff develops. And like I even me as someone who kind of grew up with seeing like the internet really evolve into the massive public device that it is.
We started on dial-up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that. But it's easy. I mean, I even catch myself like, I didn't keep up with that, or what's that about this and that. So I could only imagine, just anyone in general trying to get into it, But it's just like, just got to keep up with it, And
what about how much Cardano do you think it would cost to pay Eric Clapton off for bootlegging his music?
Yeah, that's a rip, man.
Oh,
Speaking of the melding of different generations, right?
Speaking of whales,
man, dude, Clapton, it's funny, man. As much as I have loved him growing up as
Wasn't he
as
like
a guitar
hero
player,
of yours?
oh, a big one, man. All the
He's got
stuff
chops.
of a
all
lot
the
of
stuff
people.
he did with Cream and yeah. And
I
like,
mean, for me too, it was
Yeah.
but then when I found out like he was like a low key piece of shit,
it's so funny. Like I just literally found out about that like 2 days ago, right? So the thing that I came across was, well, when I read the article, it said that he sued like an older woman for and age doesn't really matter, right? But I guess it was to add to the emotional content
of the story,
because it was a widowed like an older widow, right? And that she's trying to sell a CD that her husband, her late husband, right, had, I guess, got somehow from a old concert, for trying to sell it for $11, and that the article said he tried suing her, but when I read more about it, that he just his attorney sent a cease and desist to take it down from eBay. She did, and I guess she ended up trying to like sue him to like, hey, you can't do that to me, and she lost. And apparently that she's considering appealing it, and I'm like, why would she do that? I'm gonna say, it's because her lawyer's trying to just milk some more money from that,
right?
Which sucks ass, but still, back to Clapton being a jerk, it's just like, what is the point?
When you find the heroes.
Yeah.
Well, and this comes on the heels of him recording an anti-lockdown protest.
Yeah, about 4 months ago, right? Yeah,
with Van Morrison. It's just like, you're rich enough, you can just stop now.
Yeah,
Stop. You can stop.
Yeah, I mean, really,
it's just like, do you have to like? You just fade off into obscurity, dude.
We all know Jimi Hendrix is the better guitarist.
Always was, and he did too, and that's why he hated him.
And that's why he hated him, and I could see that because in learning about this recent grift of sorts, that like, a lot of people aren't big fans of him because he also has a history of like expressing anti-immigrant sort of rhetoric.
Yes,
as early as like the 70s. I was reading that on one of the earliest accounts, although there's no tangible documentation, but that different artists and that even Clapton himself hasn't ever really said, like, no, that's not what happened. Like he's kind of has spoken in where it's like, I kind of regret it now. But that as early as like 76 in like a concert in Birmingham, he pretty much was like, hey, are there any foreigners in the audience? Oh, well, if you are, get out of here and get out of the country. Out of nowhere, like,
especially if your name is Jimi Hendrix. He was already dead at that point. So
which sucks, but it makes sense because Clapton was sort of like the British blues god, which honestly that should have always been given to Peter Green, the OG Fleetwood Mac. Yeah, thank you, guitarist. Such a monster, man. That
dude, really,
and again, it's funny. Like I love Clapton, but. There's he has his own sound, and I don't know. When I think of the blues and sort of
he's more rock.
Yeah, and I think of the blues. Peter Green, his aesthetic, from my listening ears, is more to me true to the tradition.
Yes. Very tasty,
but it's really so cake to
good.
pie kind of thing. Except if Peter Green was cake and then Clapton was pie, and the pie was also had some ass in it embedded and was
some
also
xenophobic
pie.
Yeah, man. That I mean, and so apparently that when people would bring it up in decades prior, he kind of would not say like, I feel ashamed. He was kind of like, well, I feel like that, and
Everybody was doing it.
And Enoch Powell, right? Enoch Powell was a British politician during the time, and he had a couple speeches that sort of like kind of made even the conservative wing of the British Parliament sort of like disown him and stuff. But Clapton was kind of like, yeah, we should elect him.
Right.
So and he would kind of go on this. So it wasn't until recently he was like, yeah, I regret it.
It's like
and it's the alcohol.
It's like Ted Nugent of that time.
Yeah.
It's the British Ted Nugent.
Yeah, so man, I mean, rip.
I don't know. Ted's way cooler than Eric Clapton.
I
don't know.
I don't know about that.
Not in terms of like playing. I'm not talking about that. But,
oh yeah, definitely not in terms of playing, but really not in terms of anything else.
Yeah,
screw that guy.
Ted Nugent is cool.
Yeah. Well, so Clapton comes to an end. We're also saying Ghislaine Maxwell is also her trials.
Ghislaine.
Her defense rested their case, and she's not going to take the stand and testify. She's
pleading the fifth.
Yeah.
Just as long as the prosecution just say, "Hey, you pleaded the fifth," does that mean you're guilty? like the prosecution tried to do against Rittenhouse.
Oh my god, terrible. Yeah, I mean it doesn't bode well for her case. I hope the jury acts quickly. If they're deliberating on it now, they should wrap it up quickly.
Yeah,
it's taking too long
to make
already.
sure there's no.
There's enough evidence there, I think.
Yeah. Just to make sure there's no any more incidents of suicide, right, or this and that. So yeah, I mean, I'd like to see, the people face the consequences of meaningful consequences of their actions, right?
Victims deserve justice.
Yeah, definitely, and it would kind of just hopefully. I mean, it would be nice if everyone that was involved sort of, kind of met their maker. But at least if that can be a really meaningful step towards putting a hold on this whole ring. For all like the QAnon people that are talking about like these child trafficking. Circles and this and that within, like elite, like usually celebrity elite. Like, why aren't they bringing more attention to this, right? It's
right.
just
well, I mean, and they're also the same ones who don't have anything to say about Matt Gaetz when he's traveling across state lines to bang teenagers.
Yeah.
This is the family values party. This has always been them.
Yep.
Supposed family values.
Family values. I mean, I even think of like Lauren Boebert, right? That apparently her husband, now husband, that when they met, like he kind of like exposed himself.
He exposed himself in a bowling alley to minors, including her. And she saw that and was like, "Hey!"
And she fell in love. Was like, "Hey, wow, this is the bearer of my children."
Please,
Yikes.
More.
Yeah. So family values, right there. Family values. You say, "Hey, but I mean, the kids are well taken care of. They all got their own ARs, Yeah. So.
Hey.
Yeah.
And speaking of an erosion of family values involving guns, have we seen the TikTok, the latest TikTok trend of schools threatening? Violence here.
Yeah,
we got
it's
people
wild.
sharing things nationwide. We've had
They really need to hire. It's like at it to a point where each school should hire like a social media
just manager, right? Yeah. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Dang. I mean, if all these other bigger like celebrities, right? Very, very like like what goes out there on their behalf is very important and has a lot of repercussions. I mean, surely schools would find value in that as well, right? It's like, what the heck, man?
I mean, because if it could have stopped that attack that happened,
right.
in Michigan, right?
Yeah.
It's like, shouldn't you do it? Like, it's not really that hard of a job.
Right. Well, I mean,
pay someone $40,000.
That's an extreme though, because I mean, with Oxford, I mean, it wasn't just on social media. The
Oh, yeah.
parents knew, the teachers knew, the family knew, the staff knew, the kids knew. It's just like so.
The ball was dropped many times.
Right, many times. But this whole TikTok trend shit is just out of hand. I mean, the whole ripping stuff off from school, and then now it's turned into spreading fake threats of violence to schools. It's ridiculous, and it's definitely indicative of an issue with parenting.
Yeah.
The pandemic didn't help. Distance learning. We're raising a bunch of fucking monsters.
Yeah. We had our chance when we started people doing that stupid ass shit where they would like lick foods and then they would put it back, like licking a tub of ice cream or licking whatever, right? And then they just put it back and there was a lot of like, like sort of like cultural like backlash.
You think that's when it started?
People on forums being like, well, that's stupid. I hope they get caught, and they did or they didn't. There wasn't a lot of follow through. I get it. It
all started with Ariana Grande licking that donut, and it went right downhill from there, didn't it?
I won't say that that was obviously like people did shit like that before, but with the prevalence but the prevalence of social media and the accessibility of it, definitely, I feel like that was in some way,
it's insightful.
brought it
That was
further into
before
the
the
people's
Tide Pod.
Tide Pod thing. Oh my god!
All of those challenges
I
are
remember-
dangerous.
I remember when they used to make pizzas out of Tide Pods. Now you use them for clothing. Oh, wait, it's the other way around.
Dinner for 3. I'll take a pod, please.
Yeah. I mean, I guess none of these things are directly, responsible, or like they're like not the thing that you pinpoint. That's where it happened, but it's all on a spectrum,
Yep.
Right.
And we just start
Contributes.
getting closer towards this shit that we're dealing with now, and it's really unfortunate. And to me, it's just like a reflection of like just all these different forces coming into play. Not only with the accessibility of social media, but this is just further revealing, in my opinion, the harm that having like very minimal investment in our education system also has, right?
Sure.
And we saw that being reflected in the quality of distance learning, that different certain if you went to a public school versus private school, the experience was widely different. And I know that was like, for example, LAUSD dealt with a huge loss in terms of the enrollment, and like from the number of students that came back for the 21-22 school year, it was way less than they anticipated. Even them anticipating for hey, we're gonna lose people, it was even less than that. And to me, it's just like, yeah, because and I say that as someone who came from the LAUSD school system, and it's just tough, man. It's just tough. It's tough.
Right. Well, you get a sense that, I mean, teachers were already underappreciated,
Yeah,
but
totally.
if spending a whole year with your kids all day long doesn't prove how important and integral teachers are to helping cultivate the next generations and really, really creating successful members of society, it's been totally underappreciated. And this is another indication where you're watching a lot of teachers quit because they're like,
oh yeah,
this
hard
is worse
job.
than before. All these kids have come back from a year of
missing out on
unsupervised
socialization.
yeah, they've been, their parents are either working or they're doing other stuff. Okay. But, we had a whole year of kids just doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And not learning. And that's tough. Kids,
Yeah.
especially
That's on the
elementary
parents,
school.
right?
Well, yeah, but especially elementary school age kids, they need to be in a social setting with their peers. And it's another thing that was not appreciated, is just being stuck at home with everybody. And then you get a lot of people, with the domestic abuse thing.
Yeah.
The domestic abuse went up. The reports went down, but it's like it happens because people are at home. And
if they're
sometimes
in a
the
home
only
environment,
refuge for a lot of these students are
with
school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think about so something that LUSD did, I think, do a very good job in was providing meals for those students that qualified or were on their meal programs. They were really good at whipping out those meals and
Honestly,
as well as
got so
laptops
bad they
and
were
stuff.
giving it to anybody who would.
Yeah.
come.
No, yeah, they
Yeah.
did. Yeah, they were. You just had to be enrolled at school.
Yeah,
and you would show up.
and so I mean, to me, it's like it's a very multifaceted, experience. I mean, and just because you messed up on one end doesn't mean that you messed up on all of it, but just because you did good on one end doesn't mean that that you should get a gold medal.
I think teachers in public schools really have their work cut out for them.
Oh yeah.
Big time.
Especially now, though. So I mean, that was the
yeah.
point that I was trying to make, is that it's even harder now, because we've got this lost year, and then on top of it, the social media construct has not been reinforcing good behavior; it's been reinforcing bad behavior, and the parents aren't there to reinforce the good behavior and prevent the bad behavior.
Well,
So it's like
it's a damn
parents got to
shame.
step up.
Well,
Because
you know
if you
what?
have a kid, you need to be involved.
You know what? I'm all
And
for
stop taking the student side on everything.
Yeah.
Start
yeah.
backing teachers up, and do your job as a fucking parent, so you don't raise a menace to society.
Although I'm not the biggest fan of it taking this for the visibility to happen, but if the entertainment industry is responsible for a big visibility on this sort of dynamic, I'm all for it. And I say that because, when I think about when all this was starting to happen in early 2020 with the pandemic, it wasn't until the NBA was like, yeah, we're shutting down our season,
Yeah.
right? That everyone was like, oh, okay, this is serious.
Right.
Oh, I can't watch basketball anymore. Oh, okay.
Right. It's okay. They weren't watching it anyway because of the protesting.
Yeah, right.
So we're not coming back to it anyway, right? Yeah, I mean,
before the NBA shut down, the universities in California were still open.
Yeah. I mean, and then NBA shut down, and then I think Newsom was like, and we're shutting down all public school districts too.
Yeah.
So that was for me like
there
the
was
next big one.
sorry.
No, good.
But there was actually supposed to be a really big UFC fight in California, and he shut that down too.
Nice.
It was the Tony Ferguson Khabib.
Oh, dang, that would've been huge.
Yeah, the last fight.
I think it was pretty tone deaf for any
sports. All sports. He was like
it would have been
first.
tone deaf for any sports to continue, and the fact that they did, I mean, having MLB have a half-ass season, and it's like, I literally didn't watch anything that year because it felt like a lost year, and I'm like, I'm not watching a bunch of overpaid assholes run around on the field right now when there's people dying. Like they could have done the right thing at first and opened their venues to testing, which was something that a lot of them had to be coerced into doing. Instead of just doing it by the very nature of, hey, we're a multi-million-dollar organization with venues that could help with this crisis. Let's do something about it. No, let's just get everybody back on the field, Yeah. And then LeBron tests positive. Oh, I wonder why. Like, you don't exist in a bubble as much as you want to.
Yeah, so and they tried, but you know what? Those they think their shit don't stink. And right there's that, I forget what player it was, but that they tested positive, and then
Rudy Gobert.
And that they also was that the one where they brought in someone from like a non athlete into like their quarters or whatever.
Oh no, that was Lewis Williams.
So maybe unrelated. Sorry, so
unrelated.
But I think it just goes to show you that it's to people very often don't act in good faith, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but why is it? It's like literally it was the rich people the past year going, well, people are gonna die. It's okay, and we're just gonna keep doing our own thing. And it's like because you can pay for treatment. That's not something that everybody can do. Joe Rogan can talk about taking horse freaking immunization shots or whatever the hell, because you can afford it. It's like Trump was right there getting shot up with every last freaking Regeneron and all this stuff. It's like that is not offered to the regular populace because you can't afford it. And there's no reason why people should be living by different rules because they can afford to. That's not cool.
Dodger Stadium did step up with the testing and vaccination.
They became one of the hugest sites for that.
Yeah,
big time for sure. That was nice.
And another nice thing is that the Dodgers did win the championship that year.
This is true.
Something that happened after the championship won was after the Dodgers won the championship, Justin Turner tested positive,
and he was seen on the field maskless.
That was like and
he did get a lot of criticism for that.
Hanging out with Dave Roberts, who's a cancer survivor.
Yeah,
real smart.
It's risky.
I was glad my dad, because obviously like he had me and my bros during the 90s and this and that, where they were kind of on a losing streak for a while there.
Oh, yeah.
I was happy that my pops got to see the last one. 2020.
That's awesome.
Was nice. And the Lakers won it too, so that was a good year.
Good year for
us Angelinos.
Yeah,
a good year for us Angelinos.
Yeah.
Don't gotta watch the last championship on VHS anymore.
The Lakers, the NBA actually did really good in the COVID protocol. They actually
there's a bubble.
In their bubble, Noblin tested positive.
Nice.
But for the NFL, since they are less stringent on vaccines, they just had a big problem with it recently.
Yeah.
They had a lot of people tested positive, like over 30 people.
Wow.
And there's only 30. I don't know how many actually NFL teams. I'm not an expert on it, but they they're vulnerable. Everyone's vulnerable, even if you're a super athlete.
Yeah. If there's anything that I've learned from not only my personal experience, but from what I've read about the subject matter, especially as a result, even prior to losing my pops, I was always trying to learn more about it because, it is a very divisive thing, and so wanting to just get my own bearings, free from all the noise. It's I forget where I was going at with this. I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
Aaron Rodgers got. He was basically lying about his vaccination status, and he didn't really get punished the same way that a lot of other black players did.
Yeah, that is a common thing, especially in the NFL.
I'm inoculated, is what he said.
Yeah,
it's just like the old school.
But then Antonio Brown got in trouble because he had a fake Vaxx card or something. It's like different standards,
Right.
For me, it's just so funny. It just you see the inequity. Even with when people were mad at Kaepernick, but again Tebow, they're like, yeah, Tebow, yeah, praise Jesus, and it's just like, I wish there was consistency.
Yeah.
Towards the end of hey, just let people speak their piece if it's not infringing upon what they're paid to do, which it didn't. And if it's done in a respectful way, I mean, hell, Kaepernick, you know,
I kind of don't give a shit what any of them
exactly.
have to say.
I don't give a shit, but at least if you're gonna complain about it, at least be consistent.
Yeah,
and
people claim he's disrespecting the country or the flag, but
I don't think any of that was occurring.
And didn't Kaepernick speak to like a veteran to kind of, hey, what was your
respectful way to protest?
Taking a knee.
Taking a knee. It's like,
so I just never got the argument, because it's like, how many people have burped and scratched their nuts and gone off for a hot dog during the national anthem at a ball game? Like, and you're going to tell me that we respect America and the flag and the troops when all we can do for patriotism in this country is to go like this when the flag is waving at the beginning of a ball game? Like, how about let's take the national anthem out of ball games and get some real patriotism and support the troops and donate your time to the community and actually do things that really count towards making this country a better place, rather than just playing a song and getting pissed when people kneel during it.
It's very theatrical.
It's a fucking song.
Yeah, it's a song and dance in terms of the most widely accepted perceptions of what it means to be patriotic in our country.
And then all the same people who are bitching about kneeling during the flag and during the anthem have nothing to say about people actually attacking our Capitol.
Yeah,
January 6th, everybody.
January 6th.
We got some news on this front.
Yeah. There's another January 6th rioter that assaulted police with wood and a fire extinguisher. And he received the longest sentence of anyone.
5 years, right?
5 years, 63 months.
Nice.
About 14 more months than the other rioters that were prosecuted.
Bye-bye. To quote Trump.
It's a good amount, but
they need to get them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, fuck yeah.
Anybody involved.
Hey, if even Fox pundits are having, you know, some awareness of like, this doesn't look fucking good. Yeah, this isn't right.
Yeah.
Then you're on the wrong fucking end of the history books.
Yeah, when Laura Ingraham,
eventually at least,
when Laura Ingraham and Sean Hannity are being the voice of reason, you know you've lost the moral argument.
There's a third one. It was Brian Kilmeade or Kilmeade or
Kilmeade.
I don't know. Yeah. But
so they were texting Mark Meadows, who was the chief of staff, like, you know, and Donald Trump Jr. himself was texting Mark Meadows, not his dad, mind you. He wasn't texting his dad to go, hey, Dad, cut the shit.
Weird shit.
Texting Mark Meadows going, hey, you need to get my dad to cut the shit because this has got out of hand.
Which is proof that Junior isn't loved. And it's also proof that these Fox entertainers have some sort of, at least a perception that they're like some sort of informal advisors to the president and his chief of staff, right? And that's Mark Meadows, right? His last chief of staff.
And it's proof that they have more of a conscience than they let out on air.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, well, you have Chris Wallace. Did you see Chris Wallace left Fox
News?
The sole somewhat sane voice on Fox News has departed, and I think he's going to CNN.
A couple other people too are just like after Cucker Tarlson, right? Did what was that? The
Carl
Patriot,
Tuckerson?
Yeah, the Patriot Purge, or what was that? He had like a little segment, and it was
did
like
a bit about this.
And Fox lost a couple of people from that too.
Shep Smith and
these
people.
Both sides like catered to like what they're selling, but I do think Fox kind of lays it on a little.
Yeah. CNN has a habit of editorializing, but what's funny is a lot of people view them as like the conservatives who like Fox News view them as the
there's
left
more
voice,
central
like,
stuff than CNN, but
no,
it's
pretty
still
moderate.
Yeah, it's still pretty moderate.
Yeah, CNN's like center rightish, center right leftish.
Right. Well, I mean, I would say center left.
Center left,
center right. If you're Hassan Piker, maybe.
I want to say right because like they're still like a big corporation, and like at the end of the day, they're still kind of like not totally like they're not going to be for certain things that are very clearly popular on the left end of the political spectrum.
I think socially they are pretty liberal, but they are
that's
fiscally conservative.
That's easy. Being socially liberal is like, hey, be a cool person and realize that not everyone's going to be like you.
Right. Precisely.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so it's interesting to see what will become of these text messages to Mark Meadows, because the January 6th committee is well on its way to sort of hopefully just getting shit done. I mean,
did you see Mitch McConnell came out today and actually vocalized support for the committee?
Yeah,
and, I think they know.
Yeah,
that there's texts in there.
Yeah, Darth Sidious is Darth Sidious, man.
Exactly.
He's not an idiot,
and he knows that wing of the party is going to be the death of the party, because the majority of people don't view things in this populist nut job right wing
white nationalist.
It's not the prevailing ideology. And
They're just
neither
the
is the
loudest. They're just the
left-wing
loudest.
ideology either. But their ideology, at least, is not as, in your face and prevalent. There's a lot of people
Which
who
in a
just
way,
take it for granted. And it's like, you're not going to have the man bun crowd lighting the world on fire because Trump gets elected. It's not going to happen. And it didn't happen. You did have all these whiny babies who called everybody snowflakes in 2016 for 4 years, actually, storming the Capitol because they didn't get the result that they wanted.
I know.
The real snowflakes.
Right.
The same snowflakes who think that wearing a mask is like, sort of a firsthand experience into what Jews experiencing the Holocaust
Yes, it's the new Star of David. Is what
it's like,
come on,
get
people.
over yourself.
Just looking for any excuse to feel like they're oppressed.
I mean, what better
persecution complex?
No, I wouldn't say this is the best, but why is it really unreasonable to think that wearing a mask, which is proven to be beneficial for the person wearing the mask, but especially for those around the person wearing the mask, to see that as a sign of patriotism, looking out after your fellow citizen or person in general? I mean, the United States, it was founded on bringing the poor huddled masses, right? And so, and especially the people who are very often the most patriotic. There's an overlap between those and being like very Christian conservative, right? And and throughout the Bible, you see instances of like you treat the foreigner the same as the citizen and whatnot, and you lend you give you give the clothing off your back to him.
Love thy neighbor.
It's been missing. It's
been missing.
Misappropriated or what? I don't know what was misunderestimated. That was the Bushism. They misunderestimated me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good old Bush. Well, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, won't fool me again. Won't get fooled again. That's the best, man.
He's a Who fan, I guess.
Yeah.
There was like, I don't know, like just seeing.
But he still sucked ass.
Their side of like thinking it's just like they think, oh, I'm Christian, but then they're like, oh, well, like I won't help like my neighbor like at all.
Sure.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like what was the dude we were talking about a few episodes back with closing the church doors to the
Joel Osteen.
Yeah, Joel Osteen, and then potentially now being caught in his grift of hiding checks. That he claimed.
Christian.
Yeah. So
if only there was something that he could have done with that money to get rid of it, like give it to poor people or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Help out.
yeah, I mean, and with that goes, without saying that the homeless crisis that our country is dealing with. I mean, it really is that. It's a crisis, and it's unfortunate that people, have such strong opinions on it. But what opinion most people agree on is not in my own backyard.
Right, precisely. The NIMBYism is real.
That's what I've
on all
always
sides.
not agreed with. Like, if you, it's
yeah. You don't want them in your background either.
No,
right?
it's part of the human experience.
You bastard.
So.
Have a heart.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Especially here in Los Angeles and Southern California, there's a huge homeless population.
So California's got 12% of the U.S. population, but 27% of the homeless population overall. Huge. And while the homeless population has gone down across the country, it's gone up here.
It's our good weather.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
the programs too, because we actually try and make an attempt to do something about the homeless crisis, whether or not that's good or not, and successful is a whole other argument.
And then I can't help but think that if maybe some of like the increasingly insane cost of living, sort of also is a culprit in terms of adding to those who eventually experience homelessness, right? Yeah.
Well, and that goes back to the NIMBYism, because it's basic econ. It's supply and demand. The demand is for housing. The supply needs to go up, but there's no one who can agree on, well, we need to build the housing, and our neighbor, no, we can't have that, can't do that. And then, of course, when it happens, the neighborhood puts all these stipulations on it, so construction becomes more expensive, and they end up having to charge $3,000 for a studio apartment when it could have costed less without all the, the building's got to have solar, and it's got to have 30 parking spaces,
and
it's
can't
got to
block
be
my
green.
view of the sky.
Yeah, and it can't have a shadow, and it's
and blah blah
blah. This is where you see, like up in San Francisco, they're having a lot of flight out of there. People
even more so than like in LA and throughout the rest of the country. I believe it's like over 50. I forget the numbers, but they're just experiencing way more people leaving and way fewer people entering than anywhere else in the country, just about.
And this is fueling the dialogue on, everybody's talking about Cal Exodus, and that's fueling the dichotomy there because there's less people coming in. So that's leading to a glut of population, even though people are leaving, there's actually less people coming, and that's why there's less people here. It's not because people are leaving.
Well, I talked to my friend about it one time, and we were saying he was saying he's from Boston, and he noticed that when it's cold, people seem to care about each other more in that way. It's kind of weird because you kind of could feel for them, right? A little bit different. Then what were you gonna say?
Oh, I just wanted to add some context for some of the numbers with the Cal Exodus. That it is true that the amount of people leaving is a little bit more than prior, but it's aligned with the trend that we've been seeing.
Right. So it's not because of COVID regulations and the homeless population, people are leaving. Which is the narrative.
It's been happening.
But it's mostly because of money, right?
Right. Yeah. But so what I got is that since the pandemic, about 12, we see an increase of people moving out. Around 12%. There's the number of people we're seeing moving out of Los Angeles elsewhere, which is very comparable to sort of what the rest of the state's experiencing. Right. But since and this has been, I guess, exacerbated since the pandemic, but we're seeing a 40% drop in people moving to California.
Right.
Yeah, since the pandemic in 2020. So and it's what is the result of that? In some ways, I think that even stuff like working from home is hey, well, I don't gotta move or hey, I can stay put and pay less and
you don't have to live in the big city.
Even though I'm working for a firm or whatever that's there, right? So things like that and so it's kind of it's hard to say that it's because California sucks. If we suck so much, why are we paying for most of your federal aid then?
Right.
Punk asses.
So this is the argument, is everybody likes to shit on California. It's we are the largest contributor to federal coffers. Mm-hmm. We do a lot for this country. We're the fifth largest economy in the fucking world. Yeah. Not just here, in the world. So
a big food supplier.
I don't mind people having an opinion, but I'm not going to listen to somebody from Arkansas or Oregon or Arizona talk shit about California because it's what have you done for us lately?
Yeah.
California's done a hell of a lot more, and we're not perfect, but this whole investment in the infrastructure is going to help fix our roads. I think Gavin announced $1 billion cleanup project for the whole state, and they've already started underway on that of, cleaning up highways, cleaning up homeless encampments, but not cleaning them out, but literally cleaning up the area.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's new tiny homes being built and stuff like that for the homeless population. There's one in Northeast LA in Eagle Rock, and this is another thing where people are split, and it's okay, well, we have to do something about this, but nobody can agree on where to put it. Where are we going to put temporary housing?
It's so ridiculous because in that place, it was messy. There was tons of people. It was disgusting.
Right.
And now they want to put something that's actually a little bit nice, and people flip out.
Right. Well, and it's also transitional. Sense. It's not permanent housing. It's transitional so that people can get back on their feet. They can get help. They can get a job. They can get health care. And the problem is that a lot of this stuff is has to walk the line because a lot of people don't want to go to a meeting and find Jesus and stop smoking and stop drinking. They just want to live their lives. And if they're homeless, okay, but all of these stipulations that people put on it, they'd just rather live in a tent on the fucking under the freeway.
Right. So they have to deal with those annoying ass voices.
Right, exactly. So, I don't get it. And it's funny because a lot of the proponents against that are talking about, think of the children. It's by the park. It's okay, well, where have you been with, school shootings and all this stuff? Think of the children. Have them wear a fucking mask,
Yeah, and how about show your child that it really pays dividends to invest in your community. Look out for your neighbor because then, today you, tomorrow me, right?
Yeah.
Today you, it's a saying. I've heard it in Spanish. I'm sure it's applied everywhere else, but it's hoy por ti, mañana por mí, right? And it's today you.
One of the sayings that I really like is when the rain falls, it doesn't fall on one man's house. It's an Bob Marley song.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorites.
Which think about Clapton playing these Bob Marley tunes and fuck all the brown people.
Right. Can I just use that to go back and talk about how much I hate his cover of "I Shot the Sheriff"?
Yeah.
If I hear that again, it's like nails on a chalkboard. I swear to God, the whitest guy ever doing Bob Marley. I cannot fucking stand it.
Hey, but it's not because he's white. It's because he's an asshole.
And he's white.
And how he does it.
Part of the
How
reason
he does it.
Part of the reason why he's an asshole is because he's white.
Hey, you said it, not me.
I
It's how he
can.
does it.
I'm a cracker. I can.
I'm a cracker.
Kind of ties into like the conservative and religious views on abortion, how they're trying to protect fetuses, but once the child is born or
They don't
grows
wanna
up,
help.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
They
yeah.
don't want to help.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want to protect the fetuses, but they don't want to protect anyone with a mask.
Right. So,
You know,
I mean, and that's
with the
where we
vaccine.
just have to go back to learning about being a community and really going back to it. And this also ties in with the whole patriotism thing, because when you look at something like World War II, back then, the majority of people either were related to somebody fighting or knew somebody fighting. And if you weren't, you were recycling and you were carpooling. I think the phrase was, if you ride alone, you ride with Hitler. You know,
Shit.
people were growing vegetable gardens. You know, there was an actual sense of community. You knew your neighbor. You knew your neighbor across the street. You know, the priest wasn't just some guy that you never met. He was somebody who lived on your block. You know, we've
Collective
lost that.
effort.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe we have because there's more people now than there were prior, but that's I don't know. That's a lame ass excuse. I mean,
Right.
it's just
that should
like,
mean there's more of a chance for good, not less.
yeah, and more reason to really get involved with your nuclear community.
Right.
Right, and then branch from there, right? When you start small, but hey, I don't know. We can hope and at least talk about it and create awareness, and that's the point of what we're doing here. I think about all the time of how we used to do this kind of conversation, amongst ourselves, and it's a real blessing to be able to do it, with all of you now.
For sure.
And with that being said, speaking of blessings, it's 'tis the season to be jolly, whether you're celebrating Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Diwali, the New Year, right? All these different things, winter solstice. But at the end of the day, like the dreams and hopes we have for ourselves and our loved ones, our neighbors want that for themselves and their loved ones too. So I really do my best to like be mindful of that and like a lot of times people use this time to like think inwardly and experience inward shit, but it'd be nice. I think it would be very supportive and grounding to say, hey, you know what, all the people that maybe I don't always think about, they're looking for that too, and so even if it's just being like nice when you interact with people on the road or
Right.
or
On the street, give a smile.
So friends, we encourage you to do that, and as you have done so by gracing us with your presence and your time watching this episode 6.
Amen.
And thank you so much for hanging out with us. We are done for this week. We will see you next week because we don't sleep during the holidays.
No.
And with that being said, I am George.
Paul. Joaquin.
Jesse.
And you have a great rest of your night.
Peace.
Peace.
Nice.
Good job.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Very, very organic.
Yep.
in my
That's
opinion.
flowing.
Very